Well, we want to get started today. Thank you guys for waiting. We have a special guest, Breonna, who is the powerhouse behind Liberty Lane Investments. She does her own flips, personal investments, and is coaching agents on the east and west side of Washington. So not just residential deals. I know Breonna is jumping into some commercial projects as well, as we've had a few conversations. But what I really appreciate and love about Breonna is that she's always willing to just jump in and help and support other agents, which I think is awesome as well. Even those that are not necessarily part of the team. So thank you for that. Thank you for being a true team player.
Anytime. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. So, I think we want to get started. Rochelle, did you have anything that you wanted to say? I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm just excited to hear Breonna. I got a chance of kind of a sneak peek of what her team meetings are like, and I was like, oh, if we could ever get Breonna just to do a quick, about how she runs her team, her business, I think it would be amazing. So I love what you're doing and with your team and the growth that I think we'll have with your leadership and your guidance. So really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, Breonna, do you mind just sharing just a little bit of a snippet, a small snippet of kind of not necessarily your journey to real estate, but where it started and where you are now, just kind of with Liberty Lane Investments and then just prior to real estate.
Sure. Yeah, so I started I wasn't always a real estate agent. I started in law enforcement working for Snohomish County Sheriff's Office. I started as a booking officer. I met my husband in jail. He was a deputy. It wasn't an inmate. I was a single mom for about 4 years, but I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I put up my first offer on a house at 18 and got it accepted a month after I turned 19. Transitioning, I became a counselor at the sheriff's office. I wasn't totally sold on, every day having to interview the worst of the worst in the county. So in the midst of that, I ended up getting my real estate license and I bought my first house. Like I said, at 19, I turned that house into a rental. I did my first flip. Again, as a single mom, and then started branching out into some small multifamily rentals and then acquiring some larger ones. And now we're into, we actually we closed tomorrow on a big apartment complex. And then next week on a 16 unit apartment complex as well. So yeah, I kind of went through that journey, got out of law enforcement about 5-6 years ago. And just doing investing in real estate now and trying to run the team as best as I can. So sometimes I will say sometimes I do fall short and I take full accountability for that, but I try my best. We're also doing property management over here in North Idaho, as well as having the team on the west side, the east side, and North Idaho. And I haven't told you this yet, Rochelle, but we're about to expand by a couple more people on the Idaho side.
Awesome. We were just talking about that this morning. So that's great.
Yeah.
So exciting. So exciting. So I think that's pretty awesome. The background in law enforcement, what inspired you to transition into real estate? And then also just kind of, what
So
I know you said you had your first couple of flips while you were in law enforcement, and then where did that kind of
my first
for you?
Actually, it's funny, my first rental that I actually bought it from a Snohomish County Sheriff deputy. He knew I had one rental and he came over and he said, "Hey Bree, I know you're into investing." And I was just very fresh, very green. He's like, "My wife and I are getting a divorce. Can you buy our duplex from me?" So I was like, "Well, absolutely." So I went over and I tried to value this duplex and I valued it. Looking back, I'm like, what in the world was I thinking? But, I made it happen. So while there, I was like the front person that people would come in, they book their inmates. I'd constantly chat with deputies and corrections deputies, roadside firefighters, you name it. And when I decided to get my license, one, I thought it would be beneficial for the investing business, but I always wanted to work for myself too. Well, in the midst of all this, I created Liberty Lane, which kind of like went along with the law enforcement side and my family being really big into the military. So I remember it was the day I got married. We were all just sipping drinks around the fire. And I was like, I need a name for my team. What is it? What is it? And my brother was just totally gone drinking wine coolers. And he's like, how about Liberty Lane? And next week I filed for the Liberty Lane name and created my LLC. But yeah, it definitely revolved around my history in law enforcement, and that was my sphere, and it's still a big part of my life. Once you're into that family, it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder, I'm just curious, how was it taking the leap and letting go of the law enforcement and just saying
Mhm.
goodbye? And I'm 100% real estate now. What was that like?
I'll be honest, I was really nervous about it, but I just had faith that it was going to work out. So at that time I was married. Well, let me back up. I wasn't quite married yet. We were coming to Idaho to get married, and my husband was taking, oh, he went down from making about 120 a year as a deputy to barely making 40,000 a year when we moved. And on top of that, I was going to what I was making my yearly salary to making zero unless I sold real estate. So to say it was not scary would definitely not be the truth. Like, how do we go from making all this money as a set income, having insurance, to hit making just like a fraction of that? And I was terrified. I was honestly very terrified.
I
Took
can
a lot of
imagine.
faith in putting all my faith in this move and this career choice, and thankfully it worked out.
Right, right. Well, and then too, I know there's investments too, but you did start helping buyers and sellers with their properties and their investments. Obviously, a lot of the people that you worked with in law enforcement
Mhm.
were probably the initial people, which is awesome. So you wear a lot of hats. You're a mom, you're a wife. I think I recently heard foster parent, investor, team leader. How do you find balance?
Oh, that's a question I struggle with the most. And I know some of my team is on here right now. Like I said, I try my best, right? And that's all anybody could do. I'm very passionate about every avenue. We've had foster kids, a couple times so far. I absolutely love being a mom, and that was another goal with investing. I wanted to become financially free so I could take these trips with my kids or homeschool and be there for them. And then obviously everybody knows I'm a like eat, live, and breathe real estate, right? So, I know Eric and I and some of our other teammates, we've been on the phone sometimes at 11, 12 at night, just calculating deals. But I think some doctors and counselors maybe call it ADHD. I don't know. I don't really shut my brain off. Other uh, I know Everest and we've had some early morning, like 5:30, 6 a.m. phone calls. So
Yeah.
I I don't really shut my brain off, and I want to be able to serve in every direction as best as I can. So yeah, I
Just
try to
keep
always be
going, going,
available.
going.
I might have a
Yeah.
difficult time saying no, but
Let's see here. So tell us a little bit more about the team. What makes your group unique and what is the approach that you have serving clients? Um,
so every person on my team, it has their unique little niche. We have part of the team's really into wholesaling and market. They're part of the team's into investing and developing lands and feasibility studies, flipping properties. We have other teammates that are into seller finance or creative deal structuring, which actually I'm noticing more of our team is getting into that. So
Yeah.
I think when we go to seller finance, or I'm sorry, seller appointments or buyer appointments, we're in a very unique position where we could say, hey, here's what we list your property for. Here's what we'd buy your property for, or here's how we could get creative. I know Tim and Anna, they just recently did a novation and they were able to help the seller, the seller held the closing costs or the holding fees. And they were able to help fix their property up, and the seller was able to get a higher purchase price when selling it. In other cases, sometimes people don't want to pay all the taxes. So we offer seller financing or lease options. So we have this huge variety box that we can offer, and we say, here's all your options instead of here's what I could sell for, or you're going to have to put in all the money and fix it up to get max value.
Right,
So
right.
I definitely think that makes us stand out. So
Big time, big time.
yeah.
Because yeah, I've never thought real estate was a one size fits all, but when over the last couple of years, just looking at, I think just the trajectory of the market and the economy as well, we've got to get a little creative. So I'm glad that you guys are ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game.
And that's one thing that people ask me a lot is, aren't you scared if the market crashes? And like for us as investors, I'm like, no, because that helps our, buyers at the lower purchase prices, our first time home buyers. And that's a really great time to pick up investments. So am I
Right.
afraid? No, it's just we would shift gears at that point and pick up more investments or do more flips or hold more rentals. We do a lot with affordable housing and family crisis network, things like that. So I'm not really afraid if it's up here or if it drops way down here.
Because people have to still buy and sell. Yeah, in every market. I love it. I love it. So
Yep.
tell me, because I've been watching periodically different members on the team, and I just kind of saw, like you said, Tim and Anna, and then there's another Breonna, and I know you've worked with. I don't know that Cody is necessarily on the Liberty Lane team, but I mean, how to keep everybody so motivated and moving?
Um, so I try my best. Hey, Eric. I try.
It's like driving with the windows open. Harry's just still in.
So the goal is to have biweekly meetings. They could all tell you, hey, that doesn't probably always happen. But I always make contact with, most majority of my team once a day, at least once every few days. I'm talking to somebody on the team. We're doing deals. We're keeping that open line of communication. We have a group text going where if somebody needs help with an open house or needs help, with the deal or evaluation, we all have each other where we could lean on each other for that, which is really nice. I try to make my way out to the west side for my west side team about once a month. In the winters, it's a little bit more difficult, but and when we get together, I like doing things for them, whether that's dinner or going out. I think last time we went and did like a head spa. We've done pedicures, manicures, just things that, which I know that's not real estate related, but I want to show them that I appreciate them. Like I care that they are on Liberty Lane. It's not we don't just open the doors and bring everybody. It has
Right.
to be, I don't know what people call like a certain vibe. Make sure everybody meshes, everybody gets along, and really, it's like one, as Anna would say, a big dysfunctional family.
Dysfunctional. I love it. That's awesome. No, I love it. One big dysfunctional family. So tell me, I also recently heard that you were on a panel up on the West Side as well, with other investors. I would love to hear a little bit about that. I would have liked to been a fly on the wall in there, but we
Yes.
want to
So
hear a little bit about that
I've
as
done
well.
a few panels now, some in Everett, some in Mary's. It's always over there. I don't know. But So for this panel, I've done like women's in like real estate and some investing, and this one specifically was active flipping and active investing,
Mm.
which we're doing things every month. We're doing something. Um, so I really wanted to share at that time, when, and I know my team and other agents, everybody here and people in my town, they know, hey, if you have like a deal that you can't sell, try to bring it to our team, because at that point we're able to, use that outside of the box thinking and try to help them out. So now we're starting to be known as that. But I also wanted to share some creative deal structuring we've done, such as, for example, like a substitution of collateral that we just did on seller finance. So what that is, I bought a property last year for $12,000 down, and I made last year 14,000 in rent. Well, it was all on a seller finance note. Well, now I just signed today to sell that property, but the seller doesn't want the payments to stop coming in. So now we're substituting that collateral with 2 apartment buildings. So
Oh my.
essentially, we're getting paid in a sense $2,000. We're positive, and now using that as a down payment on an 8-unit and a 16-unit, all while that seller still has 4 more years of getting his payments until we pay him back. So,
Wow.
it's just kind of, I want, that's one example of this creative deal structuring where it's beneficial for the seller, it's beneficial for our team. And, it makes me really excited to be able to share some of those things we're doing. The
Right.
novations that our team's done. We just closed a deal. You guys probably seen it come across your desk, where the lady came with the silver bullion, so silver as a down payment.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just, just wild things. And she goes, I don't have cash in the bank, but I really want to seller finance this piece of property. And instead of coming to the table with cash or cashing out her silver, she just came with, I think it was like 400 pounds of silver. Um, yeah, just wild. So I get excited. We meet a lot of investors there. We meet people, maybe you have money in the bank account or you're making 6% interest, and hey, our team will offer you 10 to 12% on that money. So when you say we're wearing a lot of hats, it's probably too many hats at this point to count. But yeah, I find I hope people at those panels find value in what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, I'm finding a lot of value in meeting all those people and making those connections and networking. So
Yeah.
I think my
Yeah.
team is too.
Well, it's exciting. It's
Yeah.
exciting. Even just looking at some of the numbers too recently, because we're getting close to our top producer, and I'm like, I see Liberty Lane. They're just all on the charts. They're on the charts, which is amazing. So
Yeah.
whatever you guys are doing, it's good. Don't stop. Keep doing it.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah. Um, so you specifically, Breonna, are very passionate, and we see this today, um, about serving others. And where does your drive come from?
Oh, probably my faith. And
Faith.
I definitely owe everything we have to Jesus. So I believe that we're meant to serve others. I believe we're put here for a purpose. So taking that, and I feel like I did that with counseling. I was a counselor for many years. And like I said, I counseled the murderers and the rapists and like drug addiction and mental health. But that gets taxing at some points on
Mm.
my own personal mental health. So I wanted to shift gears, and I switched a lot in my town. We market, not really market, but we are very geared towards serving like the homeless. So for example, we partner with Family Crisis Network, and we will buy the really crummy houses, the ones falling apart. We'll get them at a decent deal. Maybe it's the ones that nobody wants to buy, and we'll fix those up and then market them as affordable housing. And
Mhm.
Family Crisis Network comes in, and if they have somebody, a single mom or domestic violence victim or house fire victim, they reach out to us and say, we have this family, we need this many rooms, and they'll pay first, last, and security deposit for them. Sometimes they'll pay the whole year for them. And then if we have units available for rent, then we go to them and say, we have 3 apartments coming available. Who do you have? And then they give me a big list. And it's very sad, but it's almost like pick and choose, like which family we could best serve at that moment.
Wow.
But I definitely, I mean, ever since I was young, my folks said, like, hey, it takes a village, you know, and if we have something, we need to give or we need to serve. And that's kind of just how I was brought up.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And I think just being able to give back, it's funny because I'm thinking about like you where you started. You know, you said you bought your first house at 18. Did you read the Gary Keller's book, The
I
Millionaire Real
I
Estate
have
Agent?
that book. I actually think I have it right over
Have
here,
you
but
read
no, I
it?
never read it. So
Really? You
one,
would think that you have read that
oh, that's too funny.
book.
I do have it. It is on my list to read. I read a lot. I read a lot. And so one book, have you guys read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert
Yeah.
Kiyosaki? I love him. I read all of his books, anything he co-writes, co-authors, and sometimes I finish those books. And since we're real estate agents, we sit in the car hours upon hours upon hours. I just download Audible and just replay his books and relearn. Or, you know, Tax-Free Wealth is a good book. Fake is a good book. I love reading.
That's good. No, that's good. I have to ask, what is the craziest deal you work with, come across? Craziest,
Uh,
unforgettable.
shoot.
It's like I
That's
got
a
so many of them.
uh,
Can I give you a few hints, Breonna?
uh, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, so recently, we had a squatter situation in Snohomish, and that it wasn't the craziest deal structure, but we were supposed to get this property vacant. And I tell you what, I learned a lot about Washington law with squatters over the last 10, 11 months. So yeah, we had the holding costs were ridiculous, about like just under 10,000 a month with this beautiful farmhouse. And we're like, oh, we're going to flip this and we're going to make a good amount of money. It's going to be great. Well, closing happened. The people decided not to leave. There was a lot of drugs on board. 10 months into this process, we finally get the court to sign off. And unfortunately, she passed away that same day in the house. But
Oh,
we had to pull out about 20 tons of trash, rotted food, rotted, you name it, carcasses of animals. They had a cow living in the property. It was up to the ceilings and some, like, it was disgusting.
oh
So
my
that was
God.
probably the craziest squatter situation. But
Yeah.
one I've been really excited about, I started a 1031 exchange to defer taxes many years ago, probably 6, 7 years ago. And that was a property that I had bought. It was a duplex, and then when I moved to Idaho, I moved it into another duplex and another property, and then we just kept moving it around. And um, you know, I started that investment as a single parent, and I was like, I could do everything on my own. I didn't ask my parents for help. I just wanted to do everything on my own, and now it's gotten to the point where I've invested it, and actually this Friday I'm able to close on a house for my parents to move into. And
Oh,
our apartment is now covering that whole mortgage, and they get to live right across the street. So that's probably the one I'm most thankful for at this time.
wow.
We have
That-
crazy hoarder stories all the time, but you know, they've been living down in the basement and they're waiting to build, but they've ran into some health issues. So now it was like, well, we're able to get you a farmhouse, and we're able to have a family compound because our properties now border each other. And guess what? The mortgage is now paid for by this other really crappy building we bought, but we turned it from like criminal housing to like something people are pretty proud of. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Wow.
they're
That
excited.
is, yeah. So Your investments are paying for your living situation and everything. And oh gosh, that's so inspiring to me. It is very inspiring. I wanted to open it up to see if anybody had any questions. I kind of also was going to go in a little bit of the team, but we're right at the 6 o'clock. Does anybody have any questions? You are free to unmute yourself if you have any questions that you want to ask. Breonna, I mean, she's a superstar, guys, so
Oh,
go
stop
ahead and
it.
go. Any questions you might have, now is a great opportunity. No? Okay. Okay. Looks like
Hello.
everybody's good. Hey, Eric.
No, this is Ryan Northington.
Oh, Ryan. Oh, Ryan. There you go, Ryan.
Yeah,
Question.
I'm at football practice with my son, but I just joined Best Choice Realty, and I just want to say thank you also for that, Rochelle. But I just want to say Brianna's background and Liberty Lane sounds pretty awesome, and I was curious just to hear more about the different seller financing options that you present. I think that's awesome that you present that right out of the gate to a potential seller. So anyhow, if you don't want to discuss that right here, but I'd love to pick your brain about that at some point.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm happy to go into more detail, and I could send, if you give me your number, I could shoot you a text too, and we could
Okay.
chat outside the group. But that's funny. My
Sure.
my little guy's at football right now too. I sent my husband. I was like, take him. This will be perfect timing.
Yeah, it's probably going to get pretty loud here, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. And thank you for sharing all the information. It's pretty enlightening. So,
That's
Oh,
awesome.
thank you, thank you.
Yes, yes,
Thanks, Ryan.
yes.
Cool.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
curious to know, Brianna, real quick before you go, what
Sure.
happens how do you determine if somebody's a good fit for your team or not? I get that asked
Well,
a lot by teams. They're wanting, maybe thinking about doing a team, but then they don't know if it's the right fit for them because the people management part can be a little bit frustrating at times. And I know
yeah,
I
so
make bad decisions, but
yeah, and sometimes, I don't really know how to answer that question, but usually I do an initial phone call with people that are maybe inquiring about being on our team, and then I send it back to the team and I say, hey, do you guys think this person would be a good team? Go meet them, go out to dinner, go to a meeting, why or why not? And at the end of the day, we want 100% vote for yes across the board, that hey, we think this person would be a really good fit. And if we don't have that 100% vote, then I don't go through with it.
Don't pursue. Don't pursue. Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
I mean, that's a good
But
way to do it.
yeah, and I'm
Everybody's
like,
got to
I
have
don't know if that,
100% buy-in.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know if that's the right way, right? I mean, I was always an independent agent up until I made Liberty Lane. So
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know
I
if
mean,
that's the right way.
there's not a right way or wrong way, Brianna. It's what
Yeah.
your way is. And you've
Yeah.
created that process and that procedure and certainly a value that you bring to other people in their business.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I was mainly just looking, I mean, you're gonna make bad decisions, you sometimes do, but you hopefully
Mhm.
make less.
Yeah.
And I like your idea of, let's make sure that everybody's in the right,
Mhm.
can contribute to the overall growth of the group. I think that's
Yeah.
ultimately what you
And
do.
I think mostly, when people are wanting to, obviously investing mindset is way up here, like for me personally. And then it's just kind of how well does everybody else mesh. So we don't recruit. It's mostly word of mouth, or if we're talking to people and people want to see if it could be a potential good fit. And we mean no ill will if we say probably not the best fit, but even if we say that, we're still open to helping people. We're still open to answering questions. So my phone's always available. I probably get, 100 calls a day. Sorry, with the dog barking in the background. We're babysitting my parents' dog.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think at the end of the day, this is our business and it's definitely not a one size fits all. That's for sure. I say that all the time and I don't say it lightly at all. So, yes. Well, that was wonderful. Wonderful,
Sure.
wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me the
Thank you,
opportunity to
Brianna.
speak. Really appreciate it.
Yep. We'll
Yes,
piece this
we
one together.
appreciate you. We appreciate you as well. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time out. I know you are busy, so I appreciate you.
All right.
Anytime. Thanks for a month's notice. I really greatly appreciate it. I know. I was like, we
Thank you.
actually had a signing today in Coeur d'Alene. So I was like, we need to
Oh,
get back real quick. And we made it with
oh my
like 10 minutes to spare. And I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
and I was like, okay, I'll go try to put a quick curl in my hair. So,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
yeah. And anybody
Awesome.
that's on here, if anybody has any questions, I'll throw my number in the group chat, and feel free to call or text, or even if you just want to chat.
Okay, everybody. Well, have a good evening. Thanks so much.
Yeah, bye, Candice.